Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be reacting to Cosmic Wonder's newest video. It's titled Mutants Confirmed for Phase 4 X-Men setup starting in Black Panther 2 and Black Widow. Before we get into the video, if you guys want to enter my giveaway for this Black Widow Funko Pop, all you have to do is like this video, comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel. But without wasting any more time, let's get into it.
How's it going, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, and the MCU's Phase 4 is moving forward full blast right now. It started with WandaVision, even though it wasn't supposed to, but it did, and it set up the more mystic side of the MCU, and that's what we're going to be revisiting in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Then we had the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is the more grounded side of the MCU. It gave us our new Captain America, Sam Wilson, and it laid the groundwork for the new Avengers to come in. And now we have Loki, which is pretty much going to shatter the entire universe, leading us right into Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And the next step of Phase 4 is apparently mutants. We have a couple of confirmations for a few different mutants coming to the MCU.
Alright, so I know that they're going to introduce mutants sometime in the future, but I honestly didn't think it would be until something around Phase 5, even maybe beginning of Phase 6, because of how much backstory they have to implement into the mutants. I definitely think they could do good setup with Wanda in Phase 4, obviously, but I really didn't see them playing a part in the MCU until Phase 5 or Phase 6, but I'm excited to see what Warren has to say about it.
In Phase 4 in certain movies that we'll talk about, and I also have a theory on how the mutants actually came to be a thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, I believe that they have been in the MCU the entire time, but I'll break it all down. If you love Marvel and want to stay up to date on all things happening in the MCU, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. So let's start with the two mutants who are already confirmed to be coming to the MCU. One of them was just recently confirmed, and it's who everybody wanted to see appear in Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, and of course it is Namor. It was reported last week by the...
Okay, I didn't know Namor was actually a mutant. I was thinking he probably was because of his superhuman abilities, obviously, but I just thought maybe he had some sort of like Atlantean descendants or something like that. I didn't know that he was a mutant, but that's cool to see that he's already a confirmed mutant in the MCU.
That Namor is going to be in Wakanda Forever. And they even reported that the actor that Marvel has cast to play him is Tenoch Huerta. So it seems like we have our Namor, but I don't actually think that he's going to be the villain, which I'll get to in just a bit. But Namor is a mutant in the Marvel Comics. His father is a human, but his mother is Atlantean, and she's actually Atlantean royalty, which means eventually Namor will go on to take his place on the throne. Now, he is a mutant. Yes, he does have some Atlantean powers, but his mutant ability is the ability of flight. And a lot of people were expecting him to be the villain of Black Panther 2, but I don't believe this to be the case. I do think he is going to be somewhat of an antagonist, but I think it might kind of be like a Batman versus Superman, Godzilla versus Kong type of movie. The Atlanteans and the Wakandans have never really gotten along that well. However, with the Illuminati announcing that Tenoch Huerta is going to be playing Namor in Wakanda Forever, they also announced two other characters that are coming in Wakanda Forever as well. And these two characters are Namora, who is Namor's cousin, and Atuma, an Atlantean warlord. And I think that Atuma could be one of the main villains, if not the main villain, of Black Panther 2. And he will be the common enemy that Namor and whoever takes on the mantle of Black Panther in Wakanda Forever will have to fight against. And I believe that this...
Okay, that actually makes a lot more sense, especially if they want to use Namor in the long run of the MCU, which I think they will, especially if he ends up being a mutant in the MCU like he's in the comics. So I think that's a good idea. Also, having them sit on a comfortable goal where they both agree, where Black Panther, whoever takes over the mantle for Black Panther, and Namor, if they agree on something and they fight against the threat, that would be cool to see. Also, it would take the pressure off of building off of Wakanda and the world building of Wakanda like we got in Black Panther 1, because obviously we know we have that Wakanda show coming in later, so I think that they can save more of the world building and expanding for the show, and in the movie they can focus on Namor, and then whoever takes a Black Panther's role and the mantle there, they can show the relationship between those two and then fighting the big bad, whoever that ends up being.
Is going going to be what kind of unites Wakanda and Atlantis. Attuma will kind of take half of the army of Atlantis, much like Killmonger kind of took half of the army of Wakanda. Attuma will then attack Wakanda, in which Namor and his followers will help Wakanda defeat Attuma, which will also help Namor reclaim his throne. This is how I see this happening, although Black Panther 2 details are very scarce right now. They're keeping them very secret. But it appears that we know who our Namor is going to be, and that is one mutant that is going to be coming to the MCU in Phase 4. Another one that is confirmed is coming actually next month in Black Widow. For the longest time, there were rumors that the mutant Ursa Major was going to be appearing in Black Widow. The actor, who goes by the name The Dutch Giant, who is over 7 foot tall, originally posted to his Instagram stating that he would be playing the character. That was quickly changed to just say that he is in the film. However, David Harbour himself, who of course is going to be playing Red Guardian in the film, kind of spoiled everything a few weeks ago. In his Instagram post a few weeks ago, he said, Ursa, Yelena, Nat, CD, Sputnik, I, and all the rest of the Winter Guard look forward to sharing a popcorn bag and a big old screen in a dark theater with you on July 9th. The first word he said was Ursa, which is Ursa Major the Mutant, the person who has the ability to turn into a giant bear. And of course, the other characters he mentioned.
Okay, well that's another confirmation, I guess. I don't even think that's like, meh, it might happen. Like, that is literally confirmation right there, at least from what I can tell. So that's already 2 confirmed mutants, which is a good sign to see. I don't know exactly if Warren is talking about just these mutants being confirmed, or if he's actually talking about, for example, X-23 or Wolverine or any of the other mutants like Magneto, Mystique, all of them. Like, I really don't think we're going to see them in Phase 4. We might get teasers at the end of Phase 4, like Fantastic Four might have something to do with the mutants already being in the MCU, which would be pretty cool to see. But I think that when Warren is talking about mutants right now, he's only talking about these castings that have been confirmed and not the actual big names that we know to be mutants.
And are the rest of the Winter Guard, but let's keep this focused on the mutants for now. Bottom line is he confirmed a mutant, Ursa Major, will indeed be in Black Widow. So mutants are going to start to be introduced in the MCU less than a month from now, which is insanely exciting because obviously with the Fantastic Four coming, the actual X-Men team will eventually be coming as well. And that setup is going to begin in Phase 4. I also want to add the possibility of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness introducing mutants. It is not confirmed to be introducing any, but it is literally a movie that can do whatever it wants. In a movie that involves the multiverse, there are really no limits. All you have to do is step inside a different universe, and you can do whatever you want in that universe because it won't affect the main MCU. However, you can bring things from other universes into our main universe, and then they do affect our universe. So just like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man can be taken from their respective universes and come into ours and help Tom Holland's Spider-Man fight the Sinister Six, this can happen with mutants as well. Right now it's been reported and rumored by a few trades that Ghost Rider is actually going to be introduced in Doctor Strange 2. And although not necessarily a mutant, he's still a really insanely cool character. But the bottom line, and my point is...
So I basically talked about Ghost Rider, the introduction of the Midnight Suns and all of that in my Doctor Strange update video a few weeks ago. If you guys want to check it out and you haven't already done so, you can click right up here if you want to check it out. But I talked about Ghost Rider being introduced, and Warren did bring up a really good point about how they can literally travel to a different multiverse and find out who mutants are, find out who the X-Men are. So what my theory kind of revolves around this too is, what if Strange in going through the multiverse finds the mutants or finds X-Men or something of that sort, finds a team that kind of goes by the name of X-Men, it's just a different variation, a different multiverse. Talking about Ghost Rider, I definitely think Ghost Rider will have some sort of cameo, especially if they want to build up to the Midnight Suns, which Feige kind of rumored to the fact that they are going to be, especially with the introduction of 3 other Midnight Suns characters going to be introduced in Blade. And again, I did talk about this in my Doctor Strange video recently, but I do think Ghost Rider will be introduced, and it'll be a quick way to introduce Ghost Rider to the fans and just the general public audience without giving him a full solo movie. And then they can go more in depth with this character in Midnight Suns.
Is that they can really do whatever they want in that movie. And it also has been reported that the Illuminati could be introduced in the MCU pretty soon, and one report says that they're coming in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, we don't know all of the details of the Eternals yet. However, I think I could have figured out how the mutant gene, or the X gene, comes into existence. Now, there are a lot of theories out there stating that the Celestials did experiments on humans, and that's how the X-Men come into play.
Okay, that specific theory about how the X-Men could have been created from just basically experiments, I think that's a pretty valid one, especially if they don't want to say they've been there since basically the beginning of time. You could definitely say that they're a little bit newer and that they're newly experimented on. Personally, I thought it was going to have something to do with Wanda, since Wanda has been in the forefront of the MCU for a while, especially even before WandaVision. Wanda was still fairly prominent when it comes to her effect. Civil War basically started because of some of Wanda's actions. And so I felt like they might have gone off of Wanda's powers and then that kind of released an X gene. I thought that was going to be the case, but it looks like it's not. It looks like there's other theories and rumors going around. But yeah, I think that the testing thing is probably the most likely one, but I'm still down to hear what everyone has to say.
But I have a little bit more of a specific theory. There have been reports and leaks for a while now that states that Angelina Jolie's character, Thena, has a big secret. And there was even a particular scene in the teaser trailer for The Eternals where Angelina was training and she had this weird look on her face, almost like she was very sad. And I think I could know why. In the comics, Thena has kids, but she has them with a deviant, which is definitely not supposed to happen. The Eternals and the Deviants have been at war with each other since their creation. But she falls in love with one of them and they have twins. Now in the comic storyline, she gives them away. She gives them to a human who can't have kids herself. I believe that this is going to happen in the movie as well. I think that this is Thena's big secret. Once upon a time, she fell in love with a deviant, had kids, gave them away. So these kids are going to be the offspring of an Eternal, which is almost essentially a god, and a deviant, which is also a very powerful being.
Okay, that is a fire theory. I didn't even think of that. Never mind what I said before about the testing on them thing. This is a fire theory. I actually think this is a great idea.
I believe that these kids could be the start of the X gene in the MCU, just based off of what their biological structure could be. Take Thanos, for example. Thanos is actually an Eternal. He was born of two Eternal parents, but when he was born, he inherited the deviant gene. So he kind of has both DNA. The DNA of an Eternal and the DNA of deviants. And just look how freaking OP Thanos came out. One of the strongest beings in the universe. And trust me, in the comics, he's a lot more powerful than he is in the MCU. In the actual Infinity Saga comics, he crushes not only the Avengers, but the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, just a bunch of different heroes all coming together to fight him. He completely destroys them. And he does have powers of his own outside of using the Infinity Gauntlet. So we could, if my theory is correct, essentially have two kids who are like Thanos. Hopefully not as ugly, but two kids who inherit these two different, insanely powerful genes. Perhaps the DNA of an Eternal and a Deviant combined could give us that mutant gene. And remember, Thena is thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. If she had her kids during the time of Babylon, that means the mutant gene could have existed for thousands and thousands of years. And those kids would go on to mate with other people and have kids, which would spread the mutant gene, which would mean mutants have been around in the MCU since almost the beginning of time. Now, that is just my personal theory. You'll have to let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. But regardless, we have confirmation that the mutants are coming in Phase 4, one of them coming in less than a month in Black Widow.
So yeah, guys, that was basically the end of Cosmic Warren's video. Now, the thing I want to take away from this, and the biggest flaw in the theory that the X-Men or the mutant gene was there from the beginning of time, is that wouldn't these mutants have somewhat found their powers, even if they aren't trained to use them? There would have been stuff like since the beginning of time where mutants have accidentally like burned down a city or something where their powers basically like wreak havoc. There has to be some sort of situations where that kind of stuff happens. It's not like mutants are perfect. They're basically uncontrollable assets at the end of the day. And so I definitely feel like that is one of the biggest plot holes with the fact that if they were existing since the beginning of time. That's why I was kind of banking on the Wanda theory, where Wanda kind of created Wanda kind of created X-Men or slash the mutant gene, all that kind of stuff, whenever she like expands her hex or something like that. Because in the beginning of WandaVision, when she expanded the hex in, I think it was episode 4 or 5, to take over the sword base, I thought that she was eventually going to take over the whole entire Earth and then retract it back. And in doing that, the mutant gene spread to random people, and that's how the X-Men were created in that time. But if they're going to do it, if they're they're gonna make it to where the mutant gene was there since the beginning of time, I think that's a cool idea. I just don't know how necessarily they would explain nothing going wrong or any kind of situations where the mutant gene ended up making something bad happen in the world, because at the end of the day, I feel like that is inevitable. But yeah, guys, that was my reaction to Cosmic War's new video regarding mutants in the MCU. I can't wait to see what Black Widow does do with the mutants. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys think the MCU will introduce mutants and the origin of the mutants in the MCU. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.